Hello, dog walkers. Welcome to Dog Walk Reflections.
I'm James, broadcasting from my quiet retreat at the bottom of the garden, snuggled up with my little canine friend Dobby. As you step out with your dog or dogs today, we'll be walking alongside you in spirit, offering gentle reflections to bring more ease and clarity to your mind. This podcast is for all walkers who need a moment of calm to meditate and reflect on life's questions. So leash up, listen in, and let's walk in stillness together. If possible, turn off all notifications and listen through headphones. Let's begin with some breath work.
Imagine walking down a forest path. The air is still, light filters gently through the trees. With each step, your body feels lighter and lighter. With each breath, you release tension. Imagine yourself walking through this beautiful countryside. Again, each step feels lighter and lighter. Again, each step feels lighter and lighter. Look at the beautiful nature all around. Each breath carries away a worry. You don't need to solve anything right now. Just be. Today's reflection is about why do we feel we must always be busy? In our culture, busyness has become a badge of honor. Productivity is seen as proof of value. When someone asks, "How are you?" we often reply, "Busy." It's become a synonym for self-worth. Busy has become a way of letting others know that you're doing well and all is okay. The media is full of articles on how to maximize your time, be more effective, how to multitask, achieve more in less time. We don't stop to think about what we are doing or why. We just find ourselves on the conveyor belt of life, rushing from one thing to another. The pressure can be cruel. Rest is not optional for us, it's crucial. Yet often it is misunderstood as laziness or weakness. And we internalize this pressure and begin to believe that if we're not productive, then we are somehow failing, we are worthless. Rest is very important for all of us. There are times to push forward and there are times to rest. Fatigue, could it be the body's way of saying we need to stop, think, rest, and regroup? What if we plant seeds of acceptance to remind ourselves it is enough to simply be? Philosophers across history have critiqued the pressure to be busy, arguing that constant activity is often a distraction from a meaningful life. They suggest that prioritizing quiet contemplation and purposeful leisure is essential for self-reflection and true human flourishing. Busyness is a distraction from existential emptiness. If we stop, we feel the emptiness. For some philosophers, the compulsion to be busy is just an anxious attempt to avoid confronting the big and difficult questions of our existence. The great thinker Seneca wrote, "We often say life is short, but he reminds us it's not short at all. It is long enough if only we use it well." The trouble is not the length of our days, but it is how we spend them. We rush, we distract ourselves, we chase after the future, weary of the present. A person may reach old age, their hair silver, their face lined, and yet never have truly lived. They've only existed. Busyness steals our hours. Ambition chains us to endless striving. We gain with great effort, only to guard with great anxiety. And still new desires rise to replace the old. Life is not too short, we make it short. But when we live each day as though it were enough, then time expands. We find we already hold everything we need. Aristotle, the ancient Greek philosopher, saw leisure not as idle rest, but as the time for pursuing intellectual and moral growth, which he called the highest of human endeavor. For Aristotle, work is simply the means to secure the higher ends of leisure, and how we spend our leisure time is what truly defines us. Joseph Piper, in his 1948 book, Leisure, the Basis of Culture, lamented that modern society has inverted this hierarchy, making work the central focus of our lives, and seeing leisure only as a means of recovery for even more work. He argued that a total work mentality robs people of true leisure and contemplation. I think nearly 100 years later, Piper's words resonate even more, especially in a society like America, which very much has a live-to-work culture. For me, living with chronic illness has meant battling this myth of busyness. I've often felt the sting of friends who don't understand, or the guilt of not achieving as much as I once could. However, my worst critic has always been myself, chastising myself for not being able to do what I once could. But slowly, I've come to see I don't need to justify my existence by my output. Rest is not wasted time. Rest is healing time. And when we let go of the pressure to be constantly productive, we create space for what truly matters: connection, creativity, and compassion. It's an ongoing issue for my life. I can easily go down the road of comparing myself to others, or not appreciating my downtime and fighting the feeling of overwhelming guilt that threatens to swallow me whole. Byung-Chul Han, the contemporary Korean-German philosopher, argues in The Burnout Society that we now live in an achievement society, where individuals are driven by an internal pressure to perform. In this environment, even leisure activities become another form of competitive work, leading to exhaustion and burnout rather than genuine rest. Our leisure activities are a competition, sports, the gym, and even socializing. And think of your leisure time. Is there some element in this for you? Hannah Arendt, in The Human Condition, observed, "We increasingly define ourselves by our roles as workers. This shifts our focus from finding meaning in who we are to viewing our lives from a purely instrumental, output-driven perspective." Perhaps under capitalism, there's this significant pressure to always be busy because time is equated with money, and busyness becomes itself a symbol of productivity and status. This culture of urgency can lead to stress and burnout, as activities and constant motion are valued as signs of success. Capitalism needs us to feel less than, or else we won't be consumers. Imagine if we didn't care about impressing people with our latest car, our bag, or stories about our fabulous vacation. That's not good for business. The philosophical antidote to the pressure of busyness is to intentionally create space for reflection and stillness. Marcus Aurelius saw business as a symptom of a mind that is not focused on its true purpose. He recommended the practice of journaling and contemplation to reflect on one's value and ensure time is spent in a purposeful and owned way. Epicurus, the ancient Greek philosopher, taught that true pleasure comes from ataraxia, or tranquility, and freedom from fear. He advocated for a simple life of modest pleasure, which removes the anxiety of constant striving and acquisition. Contemporary thought echoes ancient wisdom. Creating quiet time for reflection and mindfulness is seen as an act of resistance against the external pressures of the modern world. Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese philosopher, reminds us, by doing nothing, everything is done. He points to the paradox that rest itself is the thing that creates balance. The Bible offers the Sabbath as a sacred day of rest, not as idleness, but as a renewal. Jesus declared himself Lord of the Sabbath, emphasizing that the day was made for humanity's benefit. He demonstrated this by performing acts of healing and mercy on the Sabbath, revealing its true purpose of bringing rest and well-being. Poet Rainier Rilke once wrote, "Being an artist means not numbering and counting, but ripening like a tree, trusting the storms will pass and that spring will come. Imagine you're sitting in a meadow. The grass moves gently in the breeze. The sun warms your face. There is no clock, no email, no to-do list. The earth does not hurry, and yet everything is accomplished. You are part of this rhythm. You do not need to force. You do not need to strive. Right now, in this moment, you are whole. Breathe this in. It is enough to simply be. The words of Audre Lorde come to mind, the great writer and activist, who said, "Caring for myself is not a self-indulgence, it is self-preservation." Rest is resistance. Stillness is strength. So my microdosers and thinkers, we're coming to the end of our journey. I think it's very healthy when one gets to the point where one can see we are thrown into the rat race of life. Build, go to school, college, get a good job, buy a house, comforts, accumulate, travel, make many friends. But often we don't stop to think, why are we doing all this? We sacrifice our time on this earth, just being in the pursuit of people and things that we're told to want, because that means you are somebody. When you fall sick, you're forced to stop, to think, reflect, rest. You imagine a world where you understand your value, and you can then see clearly just how much of your life you've spent chasing and proving. I hope today has helped reframe quiet time. It doesn't mean you're broken or a failure by being alone. Resting, reading, reflecting, it's a wonderful use of time. This time nourishes both our mind and our body. But the truth is, you're not here to prove your worth through endless doing. You are worthy simply by being. This week, I invite you to notice when the pressure of busyness sneaks in. When you feel guilty for resting, pause and ask yourself, is this guilt serving me? Or is it a story I've been taught? Let yourself rest. Let yourself simply be. You are not a machine. You are a garden. Take time to bloom. On a lighter note, this anonymous quote about being busy has always made me smile. You've probably seen it on tea towels or a t-shirt. It might look like I'm doing nothing, but in my head, I'm very busy. It's fun. Another quote that makes me smile, by Francis de Sales. His suggestion was, half an hour's meditation each day is essential, except when you're busy, then a full hour is needed. Let's end with a poem called The Weight of Stillness that I think is very appropriate to today's episode. We are told to run, to climb, to prove, to shine, as though stillness were a fault, as though silence were a void. But the tree does not hurry, and still it grows, and the river does not race, and still it flows. So let the world spin without you for a while. Lay down the burden of busyness. You are not falling behind, you are arriving within. On our next episode, I think we'll reflect on possessions and who accumulates the most toys wins. And does this mentality serve our community? I bet you can already guess my thoughts.
And keep noticing and appreciating the wonderful things that our dogs bring to our lives. And remember, peace is never far away. Embrace the stillness within and know you are enough exactly as you are. This is James with Dobby, signing off from the bottom of the garden with peace, love, hope and perseverance.